Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 20th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We've had a good Sunday. I'd say it was a pretty fun day. I'll tell you all about it, and also my Saturday. But we'll start with Sunday. We woke up at the homie's house, pretty early. I skedaddled on home and then got some more sleep. And essentially, with all the sleeping and just kind of hanging out, it was a pretty slow start. It's been a pretty slow day in general for my Sunday, but overall, my back was feeling better. I wouldn't say like 100%. No, 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 no. Definitely still had some pain, still had some ache, but definitely around a 1.5, 1, which is good. That's progress. So I moseyed on to the grocery store. We got all our groceries. That was pretty good. No hassles there. Then we got back home, dropped everything off, went to the gym, and we did another modified session. Not the usual heavy lifting day. I will say the Smith machine was calling to me, like the Green Goblin mask. So I was like, okay, so what am I going to do? What do I want to do? And I went and said, okay, we're going to do at least our heavy bench, and we'll try to do that, see how that goes. And it actually went really good. It went well. I feel like I'm pushing. I just did like 225 just straight, and I'm getting closer to hitting it with the form that I want. So that feels good. Feels like we're actually making progress as we move through the summer. So that's dope. We love that. Outside of that, I kind of lifted less and less, like kind of a reduced set, maybe like I think I did like 2 or 3 sets of those. Then we got off of the Smith machine because I really do feel like the two things that are giving me the most grief physically is my heavy squats and my heavy deadlifts. I think that's what's really doing the most damage. I wouldn't say damage, but causing the most pain in my back. So we've been avoiding those for the weekend, trying just to do lighter ones. But then for the free weights, we also were able to lift heavy, so that felt good. I will say though, I encountered a new problem. I was doing, I think it's like a tricep press, some kind of thing like that overhead, and I was actually doing it with a lighter weight, but I was doing it like too deep and too fast, I think, and essentially got like this like really annoying like crink in my neck. So that kind of hurts. That doesn't feel too good. But overall, I am feeling better. My back feels better post the gym, so I like that. We love that. And we'll see how this week goes. Hopefully the neck pain I got, the shoulder pain I got, eases, goes away. Let's knock on wood there. But overall, my back feels good, and, that gym session overall felt pretty good. So I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to next week. So, hopefully that goes well. But then I got home, and I set up the episode. I was getting ready to go, and I just felt so tired. I was so sleepy. I was like, you know what, man? It's Sunday. Why don't you go ahead and just take a nap, and then we'll get up and we'll attack this. So that's what we did, and now we're here. But yeah, so that's been my Sunday. Let's go ahead and talk about Saturday night. Saturday night was really fun. We did the usual. We went to Northside. I got there. Homie tells me, hey, our other friends are playing in a band, and they're on tonight. And I was like, oh shit, I did not know that. So we went straight there, got to see them perform. That was a good time. It was like Band of Pirates, so everything was like very pirate themed. People came out in like outfits and stuff, so that was cool. It was a nice little vibe at Junkers, a little dive bar we go to, and it was cool. It was nice. We had a good time, and that was just us starting the night. So we start there. Then we get Chameleon, and that's where I first get food. So that's our food corner for the night. I haven't been getting the exotic slices. I've been kind of just staying off of them. It's a lot of this. It feels a little bit more redundant, I feel. I missed like the special pizza slice that happened for the 4th of July, which is kind of a bummer because it sounded really good. But, it's just missed opportunity. Maybe next year if they make it. But I've been getting like the pepperoni slice and the cheese slice, so that's been good. That's been sturdy. And then I got an order of Cajun fries, which are very yummy with some ketchup. So we started that with that food wise. That was good. Then we wind up doubling back. And in the moment there, because I've kind of already been drinking, I've been hanging out, I'm already used to the room, so to speak. While we were at Junkers, I was like, ooh, there's actually outside people were making like hot dogs. I think it was like Mets and brats. And like you could just give like a little tip donation and you could just have one. And I was like, ooh, I want one. That's what I want. I want a big old, thick old glizzy. So that's what I got. I got a brat with peppers and I believe sauerkraut as well. And some like mustard and I think there's some other condiments I put on there. I can't quite remember, but it was really good. It was really yummy. It hit the spot. I shouldn't have eaten it. Let's just be real. But I was like, ooh, this is yummy, yummy in my tummy. So that was a vibe. We proceeded to hop back and forth, doing the drinks, hanging out, having a good time. A lot of people came out, so it was good to see, some homies and hang out with the friends. I will say there was a moment where I lost a game of rock, paper, scissors and wound up blowing, I think, $15 in Malort shots. So that was a moment. And I had to take one of those Malort shots. So there was that. But no, overall it was a good time. Then, fast forwarding a little bit, we wind up back at HQ, back at the homie's house, and I'm trying to recall what I ate. There was a bit of stir fry that was good. I had a everything bagel with strawberry cream cheese that was yummy. That was really good. And then hummus and some crackers to kind of close out the night. And then also a bit of TV talk, a little TV time. Homie put me on to Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That's actually a vibe. I don't think I can. I think I have to have like Paramount or something to watch that. So I probably won't be able to like, put in time on that. But ooh, it seems worthwhile. I actually, I'm a Star Trek fan. I wouldn't say I like go crazy over it, but I've watched a good chunk of Star Trek in my days. So I hadn't really touched that. I didn't know what it was about, but it's definitely like a cool kind of prequel kind of situation, and they do a lot with the space. So I would definitely recommend it if you're a Trekkie. I'm sure you probably already have seen it, and maybe you can come yap to me about it if you want. But yeah, no, overall that was cool. Nice way to kind of close out the night, and that's the full circle. And then we made it all the way to the top. So yeah, that was my weekend. It's been a really good weekend. Feels good to kind of get at something nice the way this week kind of went, wounded through. I just really didn't have a great time, but it was nice to close out on a good note. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. All right. All right. Our first story comes from the Associated Press. Officials say 85 Palestinians seeking aid are killed in Gaza as Israel widens evacuation orders. At least 85 Palestinians were killed while trying to reach food at locations across Gaza on Sunday, the territory's health ministry said, on the deadliest day yet for aid seekers in over 21 months of war. There was new alarm as Israel's military issued evacuation orders for parts of central Gaza, one of the few areas where it has rarely operated with ground troops and where many international organizations trying to distribute aid are located. One group said several offices were told to evacuate immediately. There was no immediate Israeli comment. The largest death toll was in devastated northern Gaza, where living conditions are especially dire. At least 79 Palestinians were killed while trying to reach aid entering through the Zikim crossing with Israel. Zahir al-Wahidi, head of the health ministry's records department, told the Associated Press. The UN World Food Program said 25 trucks with aid had entered for starving communities when it encountered massive crowds. A UN official speaking on the condition of anonymity because they were not allowed to comment on the incident to the media said Israeli forces opened fire towards crowds who tried to take food from the convoy. Footage taken by the UN and shared with the Associated Press showed Palestinian men running as automatic gunfire was heard. And they have some quotables. There's also some more details here too. Let's see. Separately, 7 Palestinians were killed while sheltering in tents in Han Yunis in the south, including a 5-year-old boy, according to the Kuwait Specialized Field Hospital, which received the casualties. And they talk about evacuation orders that have been put out throughout Gaza. With Israel says, hey, we're doing this as a way to let people know so they can leave and be safe. But I mean, you have these so many times. You try to move and then you wind up in some kind of strike, or you wind up getting shot at. So it is a very sad, very frustrating situation to keep coming back to, keep talking about. But as long as people are going through it, I know that we need to. So that's what we're gonna keep doing. I know there's a lot of details here. I definitely know we're just skimming, but I did want to just highlight that to start off the episode, and we can go ahead and move on to our next story coming out of New York, also from the Associated Press. Man dies after heavyweight training chain around neck pulls him into MRI machine. A man who was pulled into an MRI machine in New York after he walked into the room, wearing a large weight training chain around his neck, has died, according to police and his wife, who told a local television outlet that he waved goodbye before his body went limp. The man, 61, had entered an MRI room while a scan was underway Wednesday afternoon at Nassau Open MRI. The machine's strong magnetic force drew him in by the metallic chain around his neck, according to a release from the Nassau County Police Department. He died Thursday afternoon, but a police officer who answered the phone at Nassau County Police Precinct, where the MRI facility is located, said the department had not yet been given permission to release the name Saturday. Adrienne Jones McAllister told News 12 Long Island in a recorded interview that she was undergoing an MRI on her knee when she asked the technician to get her husband, Keith McAllister, to help her get off the table. She said he called out to him. She told News 12 that the technician summoned into the room her husband, who was wearing a 20-pound chain that he uses for weight training, an object they had a casual conversation about during a previous visit, with comments like, "Oh, that's a big chain." When he got close to her, she said, at that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI. I said, "Could you turn off the machine? Call 911, do something. Turn this damn thing off," she recalled, as tears ran down her face. He went limp in my arms. She said the technician, helped her try to pull her husband off the machine, but it was impossible. He waved goodbye to me, and then his whole body went limp, Joan McAllister told the TV outlet. Let's see. Jones McAllister told News 12 that McAllister suffered heart attacks after he was freed from the MRI machine. This was a really sad story. Very unfortunate. I am curious how things are going to shake out from this legally. I feel like in that regard, we'll probably be back on the story if I get any updates. But they did have some other situations where this has happened before. It's really sad. In 2001, 6-year-old Michael Colombini of Croton-on-Hudson was killed at a Westchester Medical Center when an oxygen tank flew into the chamber, drawn in by the MRI's 10-ton electromagnet. That's heavy. That's scary. Also, I think of MRI machines in like a very kind of scared way because I don't know if you've seen me. I have a lot of piercings in my face. So, like, I would definitely be scared. For me personally, I'd be very mindful. If you're telling me, hey, you got to do an MRI, I'm gonna come in barefaced, no ear stuff, nothing, because that is such a fear. And like something like this, oh, it definitely awakens that. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a brutality. For me, it sounds like a brutality in Mortal Kombat. Like that sounds so scary. Obviously condolences to the family. It's very unfortunate, but like I said, if I get any more details, we'll be back to this. But yeah, let's move on. We got a story coming out. This is a bit local. It, more or less hails from Kentucky technically, but it's all on a bridge and, connects to Cincinnati. So, it's a bit of this and a bit of that. But yeah, let's see where did this come from. WCPO Cincinnati, or WCPO 9, my bad. ABC Cincinnati, whatever. I butchered that. Watch. Video shows moments leading up to during arrest at protests on Roebling Bridge. One officer is on administrative duty and an investigation is underway after Covington police arrested more than 13 people during a demonstration against ICE on the Roebling Suspension Bridge Thursday night. Also added to, this is going to be a bit of a long read. I think I want to read all of this to kind of capture everything. And so, feel free if you got to cycle ahead if I get a little boring. Covington Police Chief Brian Valenti said officers were dispatched to the Kentucky side of the bridge at around 8:15 p.m. Thursday after receiving reports of people blocking the entrance. Video sent to police shows demonstrators appearing to block a driver attempting to get onto the bridge, standing in front of their vehicle and hitting the hood with their hands. Valenti provided multiple videos, both from bystanders and officer body-worn cameras, showing the officers' initial response, announcing over speakers and their cruisers that people need to get on the sidewalk or risk arrest due to unlawful disturbance. The police department originally said Thursday night officers intended to talk to the protest organizers, but were immediately met with open hostility and threatening behavior. Organizers with Ignite Peace, the group that coordinated the vigil, told us they checked with all staff, and determined no one with the organization had spoken to the Covington police. So there you go. It's a bit awkward, a bit suspicious from the police, but take that as you may, whatever. According to police, most of the approximately 100 people got on the sidewalk, but others remained on the road. Police then got out of their cruisers, arresting more than 13 people, including two Cincinnati City Beat journalists over the demonstration. One of the videos Covington police presented showed a demonstrator knocking pepper balls from an officer's launcher as the officer went into the crowd. Later on, during the police response, video from bystanders showed the same demonstrator getting punched repeatedly by an officer during arrest. Valenti read from the officer's use of force report, where the officer stated he attempted to fire pepper balls at the man's feet and then lower extremities before he says he witnessed the man reach toward a bag at his waist, believing he may be attempting to retrieve a firearm. Valenti confirmed no firearms or weapons were found on the protesters arrested. So we're just going to jump to a conclusion here and say, well, I fear for my life. So that kind of gets to excuse what the fuck I'm about to do. A little foreshadowing here. Body camera footage from that officer shows him chasing the man who is running along the sidewalk and does not appear to have any weapon in his hand. The officer then grabs him near the ledge of the bridge. As the man grabs onto the railing, the body camera footage stops. Classic. Valenti said they stopped the clip due to the camera being too close to the man as action is occurring. Okay. Video from a bystander and another officer at the scene shows the officer grabbing the man and repeatedly hitting him as he falls to the ground. In the body camera footage from another officer, the man can be heard yelling "ow" and "stop" multiple times as the officer's fist hits his head while he remains on the ground. In the use of force report, the officer, who was not identified, says the man continued to physically resist, actively concealing his hands, fearing that he might be attempting to access a weapon, and that the surrounding crowd posed a threat to my safety. I delivered additional closed fist strikes. Like, he's some fucking Shaolin monk. Okay. The officer was placed on administrative duty amid an investigation into his conduct. Probably nothing's going to happen, though, to that guy. And I think that's definitely worth noting. This police officer who essentially just ran down this motherfucker and beat him up. Just fucking beat his ass down. And was like, well, I feared for my life. I thought he was reaching for something. He was kicking with my fucking pepper balls. So I beat him up. I just, like, tackled his ass near fucking, bridge railing. And just donk, donk, donk on his head. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Officials were asked about the journalists arrested during the protest. Videos from the protest show Cincinnati City Beat reporter Madeline Finning, who previously worked as a real-time editor at WCPO 9 News. That's how you say it. Recording an officer as he puts the protester into cuffs and walks them to a cruiser. At that time, another officer walks up to Finning and begins to put her in cuffs. I'm sorry. Reporter Nick Swartzel with our partners at WXVU can be heard then walking over to the officer saying, she's pressed, she's a reporter. As he tries to talk to the officer, another officer begins blocking Swartwell, telling him, get back now. He attempts to tell the officer he is also pressed, but the officer begins walking back towards the protesters. Valenti said Finning did not have any credentials on her and did not leave the roadway after the officer's commands. A second person arrested, Lucas Griffith, appears to also be a journalist with City Beat. His name matches multiple reports on the publication's website. So you could look this guy up. You could probably look her up as well, Finning, and know it's like, oh, this is a person. Like, but no, they didn't have the credentials, so we're allowed to just do this and treat him the way we were treating him. Most of the people arrested, Valenti said, were from the Cincinnati area. Shout out to Cincinnati, the nasty girl. Anyway, sorry. WCPO was in court for the protesters' arrangements. I'm sure, whatever. Talking is hard. And saw at least 16 people brought in for charges tied to the protest. Covington Mayor Ron Washington said a full and fair investigation will be conducted into the events. I'm sure it will. And I understand why many people are upset. Washington said, we are committed to transparency, accountability, and maintaining trust between law enforcement and the public. Charges against those arrested include first-degree rioting, a felony. So this is where people actually are going to get some kind of charges because you went out and you protested something that we didn't like and you didn't do it to our specifications, and we went out and we decided to headbust you guys a fucking bit. You guys are also now going to get rounded up and face felony charges. But once again, the people who beat you up, people who are supposed to be serving and protecting your ass, well, they're taking a little break. They're taking a little break while we look into it. Full and fair style. So, I feel like I more or less want to call it there. I know there's more details here. Actually, no, I do want to actually say there's a side of the people who actually came out. I feel like that's actually useful to talk about. Let's see. Here we go. A statement sent to WCPO from Ignite Peace condemned the Covington Police Department for its actions Thursday evening, calling the interaction police violence. Ignite Peace believes we can build a nonviolent society, and during the vigil we stood with people who believe that we are in difficult times, that we can be brave, and that we must demonstrate and deepen the solidarity and commitment to nonviolence, said Shannon Hughes, Ignite Peace Executive Director. We are heartbroken by the police violence that occurred after the vigil and the inappropriate force with which peaceful marchers were met. We need to heal and to practice care for our community in our ongoing work towards justice and peace. Yeah, I definitely wanted to close out with that. I felt like that was important just to get the other side there, and at least just have a snippet of that in this episode. But yeah, obviously I'm with people who are out protesting. Oh, my drive was potentially impeded and this fucking sucks. It's a bummer. Well, you should be thinking about this shit, It's not just something that you should just be kind of passing by. So, I'm not that upset about that. I don't think that that's bad. Sorry, I got something coming up. I got to pop up. Oops. But yeah, I just felt this is relevant local news, so I wanted to talk about it. Especially to the police reaction. That's always something that I always feel like it's important to highlight and talk about, especially when it's fucking terrible. Because you just shouldn't be beating people up like this, rounding people up like this, throwing felonies on them. With pretty much what I'm thinking and what I'm guessing, obviously speculation hat on, pretty much no repercussions. Once again, you get a fucking break. Anyway, speaking of shakeups, we have an update from Kiss Cam. If you know, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna do our last break and we'll close it out. I know we're yapping a little harder on Sunday, but I really wanted to just get as much of that article in as I could because I felt like it was important to flesh out the moment, I guess. All right. From CBS News. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron resigns after Coldplay Kiss Cam video. The technology company Astronomer said its CEO Andy Byron has resigned after he was shown embracing a woman on screen during a Coldplay concert. Astronomer's board of directors accepted the resignation Saturday, saying it will begin a search for a replacement. The company said Friday that it launched a formal investigation into Byron after the video of him went viral online. As stated previously, Astronomer is committed to the values and culture that have guided us since our founding. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability, and recently that standard was not met, the New York company said in a statement on Saturday. Obviously, we know the situation. Kristen Cabot, they were all booed up. Cam came on, they freaked the fuck out. Everyone wilded out about it. Let me go ahead and fast forward though. I'm trying to think who they have as the interim guy. I think they have it here. Here we go. In a statement to CBS News on Friday, Astronomer said Byron was placed on leave and that Pete DeJoy, co-founder and chief product officer, is serving as CEO or interim CEO. So he is leading the company currently. And then this was something that is a relevant tidbit to kind of close out on, I guess. Probably putting the kibosh, even though there probably was never any chance of my little hypothetical that I pitched, my little fantasy. But, excuse me, the venue where the concert took place, Gillette Stadium, also has a privacy policy that states when you visit our location or attend or participate in an event at our location, we may capture your image, voice, and or likeness, including through the use of CCTV cameras and or when we film or photograph you in a public location. So essentially this is maybe something that's going to be a legal barrier for the Gillette Stadium. I imagine Coldplay or Chris Martin himself, as we talked about a little bit, would probably be, guarded by something like this. So, I'm probably not going to get my fucking wish of like some kind of fucking lawsuit. That'd be fun. But, this isn't a perfect world. What can I say? But yeah, that'll be the episode for today. No shilling. It's Sunday, so no need for that. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.